Hey guys, so today's going to focus on shoulders, triceps, and abs, and as you can see, sets, reps, and rest times are all going to be in the description below. So we're going to start off by hitting rear delts, and to do that, we're going to begin with the rear lateral raise using an incline bench. You're going to want to grip near the top of the dumbbell, angle the bottom of your dumbbell just slightly outward so you're touching the top. We're going to hit 4 sets. I like a rep range of about 14 to 18. That's going to give you a weight that's a little bit lighter that you can really control as you lower it. So this is just a warm-up set. Whenever I do my workouts, the first exercise I like to go really light, hit somewhere around 20 reps, nowhere near failure, just kind of getting blood in the area that we're going to be working. And you may be wondering, why are we starting off with rear delts? Why aren't you starting off with a compound movement like your other program? Well, the focus here again is going to be hypertrophy and more so bodybuilding. A lot of you guys may notice there's a lot of people that have really great front delt development, but not so much rear delt. And I don't know about you, but when you look at someone from the side and their front delts stand out, but their rears are not really that great, it doesn't look good. It looks like you're kind of slouching forward. So, our goal is to start off by building big, meaty rear delts. So we're going to jump into a working set. Now, what I want you to really pay attention to in this video is my rep tempo. Okay, so the concentric, which is, where the muscles kind of bunched up, and then the eccentric, which is where the muscles are lengthening. Pay attention to that. So you'll notice on the eccentric, when the muscles are lengthening, I'm going to go a little bit slower. I usually like to shoot for around 2 seconds. Now with this motion, again, I'm not using a lot of weight. I want to be controlled throughout the whole entire rep, okay? My goal is a great mind-muscle connection. I'm not just, grunting and banging out heavy weight here. No, what you're going to want to do is have a slight bend in your elbow. And what I like to think of, after I've touched at the bottom, I'll pull back up, and then when I get about halfway up is when I speed the rep up. So that was the first exercise. Remember, we're going to do 4 sets of those. Now we're going to jump into another rear delt exercise, the posterior head of the shoulder. And I like to hit the rear delt at a little bit of a different angle in this second exercise. So you're going to be bent over a bit further than you were on the incline bench. You'll see that here. And your palms are going to be a little bit more neutral. What that's going to do is you're still targeting those rear delts, but now you're hitting them at just a slightly different angle. The other thing that's nice about this exercise, you can use a little bit of body English. So again, your delts are going to be a little fatigued from the first exercise. So you're going to hop into this next exercise, but you're going to be able to still bang out those reps because you're going to be able to use a little bit more body English when you're getting them done. And again, I like to keep the weights around something that lets me get, a medium rep range, around 15, a little more than that, because the goal here is to control the entire rep. And as you can see, as I come up, my shoulder blades are retracting, kind of closing the gap between them. And just like the last exercise, what I'm trying to do after I touch the weights at the bottom is speed that rep up about halfway, okay? So, it's going to be slower at the bottom, and then it's going to speed up as I'm bringing my elbows up to my sides. And your goal here should be to not let the weights smash together at the bottom. You really want to soft touch them. Next up, we're going to jump into side laterals. Now, what we're going to do here is a kind of a drop set. We're going to start strict upright, and then we're going to move into a slight lean forward. And you'll see what that looks like in just a second. So you're not going to be quite as strong when you're using a stricter technique like this, where you're more upright, you're touching the dumbbell to your hips. There's going to be a lot of isolation with that side delt. You're not really pulling in any other muscle groups here. But again, the rep ranges are a little bit higher. I really want you to focus on that mind-muscle connection on every single rep. So you can see when I'm just about at the failure point, I'll lean forward slightly at the waist. What that's going to do is it's going to pull in a little bit of extra muscle groups. So, my traps are going to come more into play. And I'm going to be able to use just a touch of body English to keep the reps going. All right. So, again, we're only doing 3 sets of this, but every set you should really be feeling a pump. You should really be feeling a burn. And your goal should be to control the entire rep, all of them. Okay. Not just in the beginning, but all your reps. So just like before, I'm going to start off really strict. Keep my arms out to the side. You can't see it here, but a very slight bend in my elbow as I come up. I want to use a range that's comfortable. So come up as high as you can. But again, you really want to focus in on hitting those delts and not let it spill over into the traps too much. Now you will get some more trap involvement right now when you're leaned forward, but that's also going to let you continue that set and go further and continue to smash those side delts. So that's what I want you to do. And if you like making strange faces, go for it. All right, guys, so now that we've hit the posterior head of the delt and then the side delts, we're going to jump to the front head a little bit more. We're also going to get a little bit of tricep work here doing these seated OHPs, which is good. It's going to warm them up a little bit before moving into tris after this. So when I do OHP, I'll typically use quite a bit of weight, but you can see here I'm not using very much weight. Again, I'm just demonstrating the technique, and I have a tiny bit of shoulder tendonitis in my rotator cuff I'm working through. It's about 100%, but I'm taking it easy. So when I lower the weight, I come down right around my jaw. I come up, I keep the motion going. I'm not pausing very long. I want to keep that tension in the front delt. And you can see, look at my left delt there hanging off the bench. Definitely getting a ton of work right now. And again, you may notice in my previous program, we were starting off, with OHP, and we were standing up. But the goal here is really to hit the muscle in a different way. Like I said, I like to develop that rear delt quite a bit. A lot of people seem to have that muscle group lacking. So I like to start off with focusing on that. And then you should be able to, use a decent amount of weight here. But you're not going to go crazy heavy, right? You're not hitting reps of 4 or 5. You're still doing a little bit of a higher rep range because you want to have smooth reps. You want to be nice and controlled. You can see when I lower the weight, I'm doing that under control, right? I'm taking a couple seconds to come down. I'm not just letting it drop, right? Because there's a lot of muscle growth from that as well. All right, so next we're going to jump over to our triceps. So you should have a little bit of blood in your elbows now, but you're going to jump now to the dumbbell skull crusher, and I'm going to show you in a second what I like to do for that. It's going to target the long head with the variation that I do. So your elbows are not perfectly upright. You're going to angle them a little bit back to the wall behind you. So what I like to do is, I do like to put my feet up on a bench. You can use a slight decline bench if you like. That might help extend your range just a little bit with this movement. But I like to have the tops of the dumbbells, the ones that are, the end closer to the ceiling, touching, and the bottom open, so you can see that allows for the dumbbell to kind of come towards the side of my head near my ear there. Again, a great contraction on every single rep. And again, guys, the goal with bodybuilding should be you really, really want to feel that target muscle as long as possible during your set. So, the rep range that I have here is, again, a little bit higher, but you should be not moving too quick. Your goal is not to, move heavy weight necessarily. That's not to say you don't want to progress over time and build your strength up with this. But really, I want you to focus, especially on these first few weeks, just making sure you're feeling it in the target muscle. And again, that small trick of just moving your elbows a little bit, angle them back a little, is going to extend the stretch that you get as you come down with the weight. So I'm showing you a different angle here, just so you can see that range of motion is really, really stretching that tricep. And I'll pause just for a second, maybe even a little bit less at the top, flex really hard, and then come back down controlled, okay? That's the big thing here, control the weight. Guys, remember, the weight is a tool. It's not, we're not trying to build our ego here. We're trying to build our muscle. And I do have my hips elevated. I typically prefer to use a little bit of a decline on the bench, but sometimes I'll mix it up. There's not really any risks here. Again, you're not throwing around heavy weight. You're just trying to extend the range that you can get with this motion as much as possible that's comfortable, right? Like if you're getting elbows issues or, some tendonitis, obviously you're going to need to make some adjustments. But, for me, I've healthy elbows. No issues there. All right, so now we're going to move into a close grip bench. I say one board. Basically, what I like to do, there's a product called a bench blocks, just a foam pad. I like to take about just 1 inch out of the bottom of this motion. You can see I currently have a bench blocks that's a little bit bigger. I believe I might be taking 2 inches, maybe even 3 out. That's not what I would recommend for you if your shoulders are 100% healthy and everything else. But again, I'm coming off of a little bit of a rotator cuff thing. So I'm playing it super cautious right now. But the other thing to pay attention to is how my elbows are coming down, right? They're not flared out to the side, okay? They're around a 45-degree angle. And, you're really going to want to focus on the tricep by kind of slowing the motion down, having your grip a little bit closer, and making sure those elbows stay tight. You don't want them flaring out. Also, you'll notice I do have my feet on this. I want my focus to be 100% on my triceps as much as possible. Now, putting my feet on the floor, I feel like turns this into a little bit more of a competition style bench where, I'm trying to, get tight with my traps into the pad and move more weight. My goal here is not to press crazy weight. My goal is to feel my triceps under tension throughout. Now we're going to finish with the triceps with a push down, but we're going to do a variety of attachments. So we'll start with the rope, and that's going to hit the medial and lateral heads, and then we'll switch it up to a V-bar to emphasize the lateral a little bit more. Now, with the rope, you'll generally find you're not going to use quite as much as the V-bar attachment. There's a little bit of nuance to be mindful of while you do this. So as the weight's coming down, you're also spreading the rope apart to get that extra contraction at the bottom of the motion here. And again, you'll see I raise it up nice and slow. I'm not trying to rush the movement, okay? So I can go very heavy. I mean, I'm the kind of guy who I can put an entire stack of weight and go ahead and bang out 15 reps if that's that's my goal, but really it's not. My goal is to be under control, have everything moving smooth, and feeling every rep as much as possible. The stretch up there and then the contraction down there. So I do a couple sets of those with the rope, and then I'm going to switch out to the V handle. You're going to be a little bit stronger with this. I don't like to necessarily hunch too far over, but I will lean a little bit more forward. You're going to be a little bit more stronger in that position with your body weight over the attachment. But again, we're nearing the end of this tricep workout, so those muscles are quite fatigued by now. You're going to need a little bit of emphasis or body English to get those last few reps out. And that's okay, right? If you're doing that every single rep from start to finish, that's not really a great idea. But if you're nearing the end of the workout and you're doing something more isolation and you need a little bit of body English, go for it. Go ahead and do it. And that last rep, I like to hold a little bit longer. Guys, this exercise is brutal. I mean, I do all kinds of different ab work, but you're going to see my range for this is pretty good. So when I raise my legs, my goal is to come up as high as possible, right? So my legs are completely straight, heels are together. I want to think like I'm kicking the ceiling here. If you're able to do this, I promise you, you're going to get a complete ab workout, top to bottom. The goal is to do as many reps as possible. You might want to leave just one rep on the table so that you don't need quite as much rest to jump into the next set. Now, I do a total of 5 sets with this, and I'll do that twice a week. Now, that's not the only time my abs get hit. Your abs are getting hit when you're, let's say, bracing, okay? Like when you're squatting, you're absolutely working your abs. You're going to be working your abs on other exercises, but when I want to do isolation work, this is one of my favorite exercises. And I'm going to show you in just a second how you can kind of progress to this level if you're not quite there yet. So what you can do is you can start by just bending the knee, right? And kind of doing knee raises like this. So I'll do a few like that to give you an example. And then eventually, as you build up your ab strength, you can straighten your legs. So it'll look like that. And then the goal over time is to increase the height that you're raising your legs. All right. So that's going to absolutely tax your core. Your abs are going to be, I'm telling you guys, after I finish a set of these, I need a good minute or two for the burn to go away. You're going to see my face wincing in pain after this. Because this is, I believe, my 5th set. Another tip is you can use a dumbbell, a bench, a box, something at the bottom that you can kind of come to a rest. So you're not swaying too much. Now, I'm swaying a little bit more than I'd like on this. I don't typically use these, for my elbows. They're Harbinger slings, but I'm trying them out today, and I really like them. But I got to focus more on being steady at the bottom. So that should be a goal for you too. Stop at the bottom before you hit your next rep. All right, y'all. Well, if you like this, make sure you smash the like, the thumbs up, subscribe, and be sure, comment below with any questions, guys. If you have a question, I'm sure someone else does. Put it out there for everyone to see, and I'll do my best to respond.